This week, we've got questions on Arthur Machen and Catherine Emmerich, the Holy Grail, and we speculate over an interview between Jefferson Davis and Oscar Wilde. Welcome to another episode of Off the Menu, now being broadcast and podcast on the Crusade Channel. Talk radio the way it should be, crusadechannel.com. I'm your host, Vincent Franchini from Tumblr House, here with a magisterial Charles Coulombe.
Magisterial? Why? Because earlier today I graduated with the Masters in Sacred Theology from the International Theological Institute in Trumau, Austria.
Yes. Congratulations, okay. Charles.
Thank you. I'll have you know, ladies and gentlemen, that when I first appeared on Skype, I was in cap and gown with hood, but I thought that would be a little, overkill. Plus, I couldn't get these things over the cap. It would have broken it. Right. It would look bad.
Yeah.
So I fell back on what I was wearing underneath.
Yeah, there you go. So, how do you feel? Do you feel different? Do you feel free as a bird, or what?
People ask me that, and the answer is, I've done graduations before. I'm glad it's happened. I certainly enjoyed it. I've had a good time here. I'm very grateful to the friends and family who came in from California and elsewhere to see me. I really appreciated that. But, it's tempered by the fact that this is not really my going newly out into the world, if you get what I mean.
Well, I have to say there is kind of a cool before and after, because I remember when we were talking about it before, both in person and on the show, you felt, it's like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this, but this is it. But it's sort of like this, perhaps like this new fun adventure, fish out of water situation, I guess.
Yeah.
And now
it was.
And now it's like, oh, yeah, this is nothing. This is normal. Now,
well, yeah, pretty much. But it's been 5 years. Hard to believe.
Yeah.
And what a 5 years they've been. This was the half decade that was. You had COVID. You had the election in 2020 with the senile guy and what's his face, the squeeze as president and vice president.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting time in America, the church, and the world. And we've had trash can custodians and dominatrix dominavi and all the other accoutrements of drivel. It's been interesting. But no, I've completed it. I look around the world and I say, hey, wow. All I can really think of, frankly, is an old saying from my childhood. Sha la 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 la, live for today.
I can just hear it now.
Can you? Well,
please don't look it up. Please. Well, I guess you can do whatever you want. It's your graduation. Just go to town with your boomer music.
Do you hear yourself? All right. This is from the Grassroots. It's called Let's Live for Today. I'm not going to sing it, but I will give you the lyrics because I think, you ask me how I'm feeling. When I think of all the worries people seem to find and how they're in a hurry to complicate their minds by chasing after money and dreams that can't come true, I'm glad that we are different with better things to do. May others plan their future. I'm busy loving you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sha la 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 la, live for today. Sha la 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 la, live for today. And don't worry about tomorrow. Hey. Sha la 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 la, live for today.
Dude, actually, that's actually the key lyric in that. The key line in that I'm gonna try to get some to use in real life is "I'm too busy loving you."
Yeah.
So when your wife asks you to do something,
Well, no, when she asks why there's no money coming in, you say, let others plan their future. I'm busy loving you.
there it is. There it is.
And she'll appreciate that, really. She'll say, oh. Because, see, women have this very romantic side to their nature to where they don't really care about the future.
Do they?
Said the man who wasn't married.
I was gonna say this is news to me, but I'm open to whatever you think is true.
It would be news to anybody who's married. Trust me on this. They'll always say that boy would be crazy. Boy would be tripping.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
Today, in real time, is the Feast of Saint Jean-Baptiste, the patronal feast of the French Canadians. Have to point that out to all and sundry. We are going to come up next week with the 1st of July, I guess. And that is the Feast of the Precious Blood. It is the Feast of Saint Junipero Serra. It's Dominion Day in Canada, the anniversary of the adoption of the British North America Act, the Canadian Constitution. And if that weren't bad enough, it's also the anniversary of my father's death. July the 1st, 1996. It's gone by very quickly. So, that's what we got coming up. But what we've got happening right now is strangeness in Russia.
Yeah, and it even grabbed me, and I'm hardly on the internet or social media, but I couldn't refuse. When you put Russian coup in headlines, you grab even me.
You get some amazing stuff. So
how we've got looking from the latest headlines that are just happening now. So it looks like they captured, they secured without firing a shot one of the border cities of Russia. I don't know if it was Rostov.
Who secured it?
The private the private mercenaries. They went right through it.
They went right through it. Well, let's see. Live updates. They've moved past. Where are they? Reported. They really zipped up, didn't they?
Rostov.
Yeah, they started out at Rostov.
What I didn't understand from this is, so they started there, and then I looked at the mileage from Rostov to Moscow, and it was like 550 or 600 miles. And like, my first question was, everyone's talking about a coup. They're doing this march, but they've got 600 miles to go, and seemingly no one can do anything about it, and they're untouched, and there's not even any artillery or anything. Like, what is going on?
No idea, and I don't know how much of it's real, how much of it's Memorex, Then the leader of Belarus claims that he's brokered a deal.
Right.
It's hard to say.
So, from what I gathered, it looks like the leader of the private mercenary group was really critical of the Russian troops, which they were operating in tandem with. They're probably calling them incompetent. I think he wanted a change in military leadership on Russia's side. I think he even claimed that they fired on the mercenary group. So it's a lot of he said, she said. Maybe this was a play where... So he said he's turning around, that this was, quote, a march for justice. I think he got up to 125 miles away from Moscow, and then he said he's turning around. So maybe he's just trying to show or highlight the deficiencies of Russia's military. It seems to be spread very thin if he can just do that. So that's where we are. I mean, that's as much as I was able to gather this Saturday afternoon. So I'm just going to read some quotes here, and get your reaction to them, Charles. So,
All right.
from USA Today, they quoted Britain's defense ministry, who is quoted as saying, "This represents the most significant challenge to the Russian state in recent times. Over the coming hours, the loyalty of Russia's security forces, and especially the Russian National Guard, will be key to how the crisis plays out." Would you agree with that? It's the most significant challenge to the Russian state in recent times? You think there's that?
Yeah, I mean, probably, but again, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's the real thing or if it's like January 6th in the United States.
Well, oh, I see what you're saying. Well, except this time it's military. But
No, I know, but I understand that, but it's obviously not precisely the same.
you've got Putin doing speeches
Yep.
about this. So perhaps at best, if there's not going to be more military engagement between Russia and this group, wouldn't it be fair to say that it highlights how weak Russia is right now? That this group of, I believe the number was like 5,000, just a simple 5,000 mercenary group is doing this.
Well, and also the fact that the Russians felt the necessity of employing a mercenary group in Ukraine is very weird. I mean, of course, we had Blackwater in Afghanistan, but still, without a doubt, the next few days will make things a bit more, a bit clearer, but it's pretty weird.
I think so. I think USA Today said Alexander Lukashenko sort of brokered a negotiation here with regard to this march.
That's the claim.
USA Today says he's often described as Europe's last dictator. And the disputed president of Belarus. Apparently, there's a lot of allegations of fraud in these elections. What do you think of Lukashenko?
Not much. I mean, Belarus, it's the last Soviet republic, quite literally. I have very little. It's very sad, really. But you know, what happened is what happened in most of Central Europe after the communists fell. Initially, you had a bunch of really well-intentioned idealists take over, who did not really know what they were doing. You know, they were not. They just were not trained or equipped in governing. And so, as happened in so many other countries in the Eastern Bloc, as it had been, after a short and somewhat chaotic period of misrule by nice people, and unlike the rest of Central Europe, where the nice people were voted out initially, and then as they learned to the game of governing, they came back. That's what happened in Hungary with Orban. Unfortunately for Belarus, that never happened. And after Lukashenko and the gang regained power from the Rook government, they did what they've been doing ever since.
Okay. So just an announcement for everyone who's listening. So we're kind of speed running this episode because Charles has a celebration to get back to. I kind of offered to say, let's just skip a show this week because you obviously deserve to celebrate, and there's no other time slot for us. But he loves you guys so much, he said, no, we have to do a show. So he generously came on. We're doing the show right now, but we're doing it expeditiously.
It's going to be a little bit speedy.
Yeah.
Can I read my 40-page ode to spring?
Is this the episode to do that, Charles? Are you sure?
No. We'll do it some other time, maybe.
Okay. All right. So we skipped memes of production. So just one comment today. from Memes of Production, from Don from Florida by way of the Bronx.
Well,
He says, another benefit of executive floor membership is you get the pleasure of interacting with Clarence, the elevator operator. He's quite a
yes,
classy gentleman. Has a
true.
lot of stories about the original Franchinis, who used to run the place. Back then, Mavis from the commissary was allowed to serve cocktails at lunchtime, and poor old Rose had to sweep the whole building because the Franchinis were averse to new technologies.
It's true. All true. Oh, those are the days. You were just a little shaver then.
Yeah. So, yeah. By the way, Don isn't kidding. He actually is a top floor executive. So, thank you, Don. You're doing a great job up at the top floor, and we appreciate you.
You bet.
Uh,
And feel free to use the meditation card anytime you want it.
Absolutely. All right. Newly started segment, Book of the Week. Charles, what do we got for Book of the Week?
Book of the week, we got The Great Return by Arthur Machen, which is the story of the Holy Grail returning to Wales and causing whatever the opposite of havoc is.
Returning to Wales, did you say?
Yes, I did. To Wales.
Why you say
Well,
returning? Why not going? It was at Wales before?
Well, that's one claim. The Welsh claim
that. Does anybody else other than the Welsh claim that?
Yeah, some people. Generally Welsh for living outside Wales. But
Okay.
no, but it's a really neat book. And in fact, if I can get really quickly two of my favorite quotes from the book, I will, because it just it catches not the entirety of the book, but the flavor of the book, if you will.
I have a summary here. I'll read while you look, because it's on the Tumble House bookstore for only $8.95. And summary, published by Angelico Press, very reputable Catholic publisher, and it says, while Arthur Machen's mastery of dark and bizarre themes has been more than amply demonstrated to countless readers and enthusiasts in such well-known works of horror as The Great God Pan, his forays into more ecstatic and mystical realms remain woefully neglected. In this charming, if utterly perplexing novella, Machen begins his story in the anxious, dark, despairing streets of 1915 London, then in short order leads the reader to a transfigured world in western Wales, where a small village has recently been visited by three ancient saints bearing the Holy Grail. Wow, that actually sounds really good.
It is very good. It's quite good, in fact.
So it's a novella.
It's a novella is a short novel.
It looks like 84 pages. Sense. Yeah, 84 pages.
It's short, but here are two quotes that'll give you kind of a feel for it. The one is, old men felt young again. Eyes that had been growing dim now saw clearly, and saw a world that was like paradise. The same world, it is true, but a world rectified and glowing, as if an inner flame shone in all things and behind all things. And the difficulty in recording this state is this, that it is so rare an experience that no set language to express it is in existence. A shadow of its raptures and ecstasies is found in the highest poetry. There are phrases in ancient books telling of the Celtic saints that dimly hint at it. Some of the old Italian masters of painting had known it, for the light of it shines in their skies and about the battlements of their cities that are found on our magic hills. But these are but broken hints. And the other, if there be paradise in meat and in drink, so much the more is there paradise in the scent of the green leaves at evening, and in the appearance of the sea and in the redness of the sky. And there came to me a certain vision of a real world about us all the while, of a language that was only secret because we would not take the trouble to listen to it and discern it.
Wow, that's very poetic.
It is. It's a great book, and I recommend it highly.
Wow, I'm sold. Okay, $8.95 Tumble House Bookstore. Click the link on the video top right now. All right. A question from Chicago Jacobite, who says to Charles, in darkest academia.
Ooh.
Okay. By all means, retain and even increase your arm waving. They may be the waves of the future. Sure. Uh-oh. Oh, we've got Charles putting on the hat. That's quite hard to do, but yet, okay. There you go. Oh, that's true. Darkest academia. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Surely your arm waving has implications for modern dance. Now, some years ago, Steve Allen hosted a television series called Meeting of Minds, in which various historical characters from different epochs sat about discussing thus and sundry. The best meeting for off-the-menu lovers probably would have been the banding of topics between Attila the Hun and Emily Dickinson.
Yeah.
Later, I began to think of what may have been the oddest real meetings of famous people in history. My own favorite was the interview Jefferson Davis gave Oscar Wilde in Biloxi. History does not record their conversation. I have my own ideas what they discussed, but it was cordial. What do you think they could have possibly talked about other than formalities?
They might have discussed Catholicism, actually, because both of them had attempted to convert when they were young and had been stopped by older people. Wilde certainly, and Davis possibly, may have come into the church on his deathbed. So that's one possibility. Another possibility they might have spoken about were the mechanics of government and perhaps the meaning of the United States.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, the United States were a hot topic at the time.
Yeah. What is America? What does it really mean?
That's interesting.
And Europe versus America, Europe versus Britain.
Did Oscar Wilde spend a lot of time in America?
Oh yeah, he went on a long lecture tour. And when he arrived, he was, of course, a very strange appearing person. When he arrived, he said he was asked if he had anything to declare, and he said he had nothing to declare but his genius.
Okay.
But the American audiences liked him, oddly enough, and these are rough, tough frontier people. But he wowed them in the provinces.
Cool. All right, we have an incredibly long post from Andrew from New Jersey, but
okay,
I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Are you ready? You ready,
yeah.
Charles? Are you sure you're ready for this? I don't know if you're ready.
I don't know either, but let's try it.
Okay. He says, hello, gentlemen, and greetings from the land of the largest petroleum containment facility outside of the Middle East, the great state of New Jersey. First, I want to thank Tumbler House for supplying a good chunk of my current reading list. I recently finished both Puritan's Empire and The Catholic Quest for the Holy Grail by Charles Coulombe, and am currently using as my Lenten reading The Dolorous Passion of Our Lord Jesus Christ by Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich. All purchased from the Tumbler House bookstore, where as a patron I receive free shipping and handling on my order. But that's just what I've come to expect from Tumbler House. Quality, value, style, service, selection, convenience, economy, savings, performance, experience, hospitality, low rates, friendly service, name brands, easy terms, affordable prices, money-back guarantee, free installation, free admission, free appraisal, free alterations, free delivery, free estimates, free home trial, and free parking. But wait, there's more. No cash? No problem. No kidding. No fuss, no muss, no risk, no obligation, no red tape, no hidden charges, no down payment, no entry fee, no purchase necessary. No one will call on you, and no interest or payments until December. But wait, there's still more. Limited time only, act now, order today, send no money, offer good while supplies last, 2 per customer, each item sold separately, batteries not included, mileage may vary, all sales are final, allow 6 weeks for delivery, some items not available, some assembly required, some restrictions may apply, but wait, there's even more! Shop by mail, order by phone, try it in your home, get one for your car, all entries become our property, employees not eligible, entry fees non-refundable, local restrictions apply, void where prohibited, except in Indiana. So call now for a free consultation with our friendly professional staff. Our courteous and knowledgeable sales representatives will help you make a selection that's just right for you and just right for your budget. And don't forget to pick up your free gift. And if you act now, we'll throw in an additional complimentary bonus gift for your loved one. Offer only available in the continental United States. Sorry, no CODs. Now on to my question.
Okay, well, that pretty much sums it up. But there's not a lot you can add to that. All right, what's the question?
My one comment on that is it was all like brilliant. He added, I like the no cash, no problem edition. That was a really good one. I feel like we missed. Everything it feels like he got from something, except I feel like he just took a shot at Indiana. It says void where prohibited, except in Indiana. I've never heard that. Have you ever heard that? Except in Indiana? That was a weird one.
No, but there would be, sometimes you'd have these weird exceptions.
Oh.
That,
That's true. I guess so.
So it's as random as anything else.
Okay.
All right, what's his
question
after all that wonder?
all that wonder. All right, his question. Charles, I love the Grail book, especially your amalgamation of the different Grail stories combined into one. Really got my imagination going like it used to when I was a little boy. While doing my Lenten reading with Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich's book on our Lord's Passion, which starts during the preparation for Holy Thursday, I was surprised that in her visions she makes some pretty interesting statements about the Grail itself. Namely that the Grail is not in Spain, as many believe, but rather remains in the, quote, Church of Jerusalem, end quote, to this day, and will reappear someday in the future. She also claims the chalice at different times belonged to Abraham and Melchizedek and was even on Noah's Ark. Does Charles know about Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich's vision of the Grail? And if he does, why does he not let it be known? How does Charles's own research on the Grail line up with the saintly Emmerich's visions? Great question.
Well, he didn't know a thing about them until this second. So that answers that question. The one in Spain, it's got the best provenance that one can find. The other thing, though, you also got to bear in mind is that each participant of the Last Supper would have had 3 different cups.
Really? Why is that?
Yeah. Well, because it was a Seder supper and there are 3 different cups used. And depending on how many people were there, our Lord would have had at least 3. So depending on how many people were there, God knows how much tableware for the Last Supper might be floating around. I mean, I
it's
always
like 40 cups. Then you're saying
minimum, yeah.
So. I don't remember you mentioning this I don't think you mentioned this in your Grail book.
No, I didn't, but because it really wasn't germane, but it's true. I mean, it becomes a very, very difficult thing to gauge. And the other thing to remember too about Anne Catherine Emmerich's visions is that they were all visual, with no explanation, no narration. So the conclusions she drew from what she saw may not have been specifically correct. Or to put this another way, it's like her vision of there being a box in every house out of which the devil spoke. Well, in the future.
Yeah.
Well, on the one hand, that's not literally true today, but you could imagine a nun of her era looking at what's on TV that people are watching.
Right.
And she could well get that idea.
Okay, so How do you reconcile what you just said with your talk about the real Grail?
Well, I mean, again, from what I've studied, the best evidence points to the cup in Spain.
But you just said
Uh,
there's like Jesus himself would have 3 cups. So what's the
yeah,
one?
yeah. Well, because one of them would have been the one that he actually transubstantiated his blood in, and the thing that makes the Spanish Grail so particular is that the story goes that St. Peter took it to Rome. And one of the peculiarities of the Roman liturgy, of the Roman canon, is it has our Lord saying this happens in no other liturgy, taking this cup into his sacred and venerable hands. None of them say this, only the Roman one. So the thought is that that actually is a direct reference to the Grail, which Peter had in Rome, and which would have stayed in Rome until sent to Spain by St. Lawrence for safekeeping.
Wow. Okay. So I think I get it. And so the many cups at that supper that were additionally used is perhaps the reason for a lot of confusion.
Could be.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Question from Janae, who says, "Might Charles be persuaded to wax lyrical about the life and works of Arthur Machen? Having read recently The White People and The Hill of Dreams, I have become entranced by this author, whose horrific imaginings are simultaneously so disturbingly transparent, yet tantalizingly opaque. I believe Charles is a fan, so I'd be gratified to hear his thoughts about this author." Ooh.
Well, Machen was I'm very Machen. I already waxed eloquent quoting him in the book of the month, the book of the week. Um, the it's it certainly is. What's the word I want? It's what's the word I want? I want a word. I want a specific word. So it's an extremely amazing thing, really. An amazing thing. The way he wrote, but he became an Anglo-Catholic, and I make reference to this in particular because he wrote a book called Hieroglyphics, Notes on the Ecstatic in Literature. And he made a point there, which I think it tells you a bit about how he saw his writing. And more importantly, what he considered himself a Catholic. He was an Anglo-Catholic. And of course, Anglo-Catholics consider themselves Catholic. But he has a particular line, a particular quote, which if I can find it, I think it'll tell you a lot about a lot in regards to this guy. His father had been a minister, a Anglican cleric, and he was the Anglican vicar of Caerleon on Usk. But he writes yeah, here we go. He says, this is Arthur Machen in Hieroglyphics, quote, "Literature is the expression through the artistic medium of words of the dogmas of the Catholic faith, and that which is in any way out of harmony with these dogmas is not literature. For Catholic dogma is merely the witness under a special symbolism of the enduring facts of human nature and the universe." So for Machen, the work he did in terms of literature uh, was religious, and specifically Catholic. Now you could say, well, wait a minute, his horror writing was really frightening and horrific. Well, yeah, it was, but it was to show the horror of evil, and I mean, he has this interesting line where he says the only realities in life are sorcery and sanctity. It's the further statement that evil has its own ecstasy, so does evil, which is one of the terrible things about it.
Could you say that one more time?
Say
that one more. Evil about evil?
Evil has its ecstasy just as good does, which is what makes real evil so alluring. And he considers real evil to be deep spiritual evil. He says they're the lesser evils. Like if someone steals my wallet, I consider that a terrible evil. But it's not evil with a capital E. That is a spiritual evil, the turning of oneself over to the devil. So anyway, Machen has a lot to say, especially today.
Yeah, that quote that you of his reminds me of one of Margaret Summit's quotes. We published one of her books, Catholic Literature and Introduction. She's also the wife of a top floor executive, Chris.
Yep.
And obviously,
shout out,
and they're good friends, and obviously to the daughter and son as well. But quite simply, literature is Catholic to the extent that it's true.
Yeah.
Right? It's that simple. And so that's why we're adding a lot of literature to the bookstore recently, because this should be incorporated into our reading. So he mentioned The White People, The Hills of Dreams. So do you have a Arthur Machen book reading list for us at all? You have a list of his works?
Well, there was the Great Return we touched on. There's The Great God Pan, tales of horror and the supernatural. The Adventure of the White Powder, The Three Impostors. He wrote a very funny book that really isn't. It's not referenced very often, but you can get it on archive.org, which is Dr. Stiggins, His Opinions, which is a satire on a Protestant minister.
Okay.
And a book of his essays called Dog and Duck is very good. He deals with a lot of different topics there.
All right. Great. All right. Final question from Jack. Jack says, greetings, Vincent and Charles. I was very happy to meet Charles during his visit to Nottingham and to be his chauffeur while he was there, though I'm still waiting for my tip.
Buy low, sell high. Keep your feet dry.
Okay.
Don't sleep in the subway. Those are tips.
Oh, I thought you're doing the 7 sentences.
No.
Okay.
No. I was giving him some tips.
Okay. Buy low, sell high. Okay. There's your tip. Okay. And so Jack says, Charles made me laugh many times, which is unsurprising considering his history in comedy. I was wondering whether Charles remembers any of the bits from his comedy routine back in the day, and if he does, could he please recite one? God save the king, and God bless you both.
Very good. Well, certainly. The sheik shall inherit the earth. Heaven will not be filled with dowdy frumps. Beverly Hills is the prototype of the New Jerusalem.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
The sheik shall inherit the earth, I'm telling you. That's what it says in the Bible. Blessed are the sheik, for they shall inherit the earth.
Okay. Any other bits? Those are your big ones.
Oh no, I had quite a few of them. You know, I want to set up a place called the Cafe Trafe. Trafe is the opposite of kosher. So our daily special would be New England clam chowder with a ham and cheese sandwich.
Wow. Okay.
No, you'd have a heavily Jewish audience. I thought that was very funny.
Yeah.
But then I'd say I think we could divide the audience into two, Catholic and non-Catholic, and they would stare at me. And I said, "Well, sing with me if you know it. Michael row the boat ashore, hallelujah." And half of them would sing and laugh, and the other half would stare, not knowing us. You see?
Yeah, I see. Okay. What did you oscillate to the Jewish side then?
I go back and forth.
Oh, okay.
An equal opportunity insulter.
What would be the Jewish song?
Harvey and Sheila lived in a little house in Miami. He was a stockbroker, she was a housewife. Oi, 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 oi.
Is that a real song?
Well, no, it's really...
You adapted the lyrics to the tune?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it for this very expeditious episode. Looks like we're around the 40-minute mark.
All right. And I got to put a little hustle in my bustle and go back out and see whatever are left of my guests who were not entirely pleased with my departure. But I had to do it for the sake of my audience.
Absolutely. So remember, if it's Monday,
it's off the menu.
And the soul you save
may be your own.
See you next week, everyone.
God bless all. Take care. Ciao, ciao.